lack of demand remains. Most analysts believe that markets will be quiet through the new year as shellers and farmers prepare their thoughts for the new crop contracting. Industry is ending up a good year with excellent quality and respectable yields that will supply an industry that has slowed the record-setting numbers in both the domestic and the export market. Buying U.S. peanuts by China has also slowed down. No Chinese purchases of raw shell peanuts were reported last month, and September purchases of in-shell peanuts were down 83% compared to last September. Even domestic usage for peanuts has dropped almost 3% the first 3 months of the marketing year. With the major category of peanut butter, it has also dropped 4.3%. Most analysts had predicted that the peanut butter record usage would slow down after the pandemic as consumers started eating away from home and not eating at home. But what about year 2022? Farmers can only visualize higher prices of everything on inputs, but they're hoping they can get a contract that'll help them make it another year.
I was probably a little bit like you. There was a lot of talk about the COVID-19 vaccines. I didn't know what to believe, and I tell you, everyone has an opinion. Some of my friends got vaccinated and some were against it. But I knew this was an important decision, so I went to somebody I already trusted, my doctor. It's your call, so talk to your doctor or healthcare provider and make the decision that's right for you. You can go to getvaccineanswers.org for the latest information. That's getvaccineanswers.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Southeast AgNet is social. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, where you can be sure to find all of the agriculture news for the Southeast.
I'm Tyron Spearman for Southeast AgNet.
When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Today will be mostly sunny and warm with a high of 81 to 85. Mild tonight with a clear moonlit sky and a low 64 to 69. Saturday will be mostly cloudy and remaining warm. High tomorrow 83 to 85. Then Sunday will have a mix of clouds and sunshine and a high of 80 to 84. Thunderstorms late Monday night. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
Just in case you don't know, there's a real Italian bakery in Ocala. The name is the Magnolia Bakery. Cannolis and traditional Italian pastries, and they're famous. Italian cheesecake too. And they have hot and cold lunch Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 3. When you spend $8, you get free pizza dough or bread. So call your order in ahead and save time. Call 352-207-2667. Magnolia Bakery on North Magnolia Avenue in Ocala. 352-207-2667. Merry Christmas and God bless.
This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks on a Friday. Couple things are about to change on the federal level that's going to affect some people. Both of them good in my estimation. The child tax credits, who, they were still getting stimulus. If you had children, you were still getting a pretty good stimulus check for each child you had. To extend that past where it was, the $300 monthly payment per child that most families got in the pandemic relief bill in March, passed by Congress. The last of those payments went out earlier this month. And while the White House has been planning to extend the credit through its Build Back Better legislation, well, that bill's DOA in the Senate. According to studies from Columbia University, the expanded tax credit cut childhood poverty in the country by at least 40%. A November poll from Yahoo News found 40% support extending the credit, with 38% in opposition. I bet those 40% were the ones getting the checks. Also taking place in the next few days is student loan repayment. Will go back into being required. Payments on student loans are set to resume The president is going to allow those payments to resume. So if you owe student loans, those payments are fixing to start up again. So you want to make sure you know that so you don't get put in default or something. You can get a forbearance and stuff like that for your student loans. Tax credits not renewed. Loan payments are resumed. Of course, that'll affect people's budgets. But, a lot of the labor shortage has been because if I was making $1,000 every 2 weeks and I had 5 kids, well, I'm getting a $1,500 check every month just for those kids. And I'm not doing anything. I'm making $500 less than I was making when I was working. And I'm not doing anything. A lot of people have decided that's what they want to do. Well, that's going away. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren, they, of course, are not happy about it. They think it will cost 18 million American families more than $85 billion in 2020. You borrowed the money. Pay it back. I pay those student loans. I borrowed the money. Nowhere does it say that you have a child, so the government should give you $300 a month just because you had a child. But these politicians want that to continue. Remember, Lyndon Johnson said it. If we make people dependent on the government, those people will vote for us. And this is just an extension of this. The federal government the Democrats trying to extend this tax credit is because that's people they want to vote for them. If they're dependent on that tax credit, they'll vote for the people that keep passing that tax credit into law. I applaud Senator Joe Manchin. He's a Democrat that has stood up to the Democrats and said, enough's enough. The Build Back bill would add almost $4 trillion by the time it's done. Even their own accounting office said it would add $4 trillion to the national debt. Joe Manchin, the Democrat from West Virginia, said, I'm not a part of that. I'm not going to strap the American people with $4 trillion more debt. And besides, half of the bill is pork projects just to buy people's votes. Because that's how crooked Washington is. And look, don't for a second think that I don't believe it's both sides of the aisle. Because it is. Anybody that's been in Washington more than 30 years is a crook. They just are. They've taken money. They've become rich. They've done things that have gotten them money that was not what their constituents wanted them to do. If you did what your constituents wanted you to do all the time, you wouldn't make any money from lobbyists. Yeah, I'm talking about Mitch McConnell. He's been there way too long. Yeah, I'm talking about Nancy Pelosi, been there way too long. Yeah, I'm talking about Joe Biden, been there over 4 decades. I know there's Republicans been there 25, 30 years. They shouldn't be there either. The lure of easy money makes you susceptible to being a crook. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. And that's what lobbyists are, easy money. That's why term limits should be made mandatory. That's how you solve the problem, in my opinion. Good morning, you're on Ocala Talks.
Well, I can prove what you're saying there, Tom. You
Hey,
ever
Sonny.
hear of a poor politician?
Never in my life. And here's the thing, Sonny.
Poor once they got there.
Here's
I
the
can
thing.
think of one perfect example.
Well, here's
Wind up having a whole city and town and everything named after him.
give us that example.
LBJ.
Yep. Lyndon Baines Johnson was almost broke when he got into politics.
He was broke. He was up to his eyeballs in debt too.
But here's the thing about Washington that gets me, Sonny, that nobody ever seems to want to say. Most of the people in Washington are doctors or lawyers. How bad a doctor And how bad a lawyer must you be where you think $190,000 a year paycheck is a good paycheck? That's if you're a lawyer and you're only making $180,000 a year, or you're a doctor only making $180,000 a year, you're a bad doctor.
Well,
so you go to Washington to become a politician. That's what you do. If you're bad at being a doctor, you go to Washington, become a politician. You think Maxine Waters was independently wealthy before she got to Washington?
Well, how about 2008, 2009 there? She was able to go and hit Christopher Dodd and Barney Franks up to bail her husband's bank out of bankruptcy.
And how about this? You remember this? Remember the bank? Remember the bank of the Congress bank, the bank of the Senate and all, where congressmen were bouncing checks, and they had like thousands and thousands of dollars of bad checks, and nobody ever held them accountable for it.
That's right. I remember it now. You talk about it. That's for sure.
And it's not. And I'm not picking on the Democrats.
I'd like to talk about the occupant of the White House.
He's been there almost 50 years. He's the ringleader of crooks.
Before he got into federal politics, he was in local politics, and even back then, him and his clan was known as Biden Inc. before he got to Washington. And nobody ever investigated him. And I don't know why the Republicans didn't challenge his nomination when his son was still breaking news. Because,
Sonny, most of the Republicans don't want to shake up the status quo in Washington either. That's why a lot of them didn't like Donald Trump. Donald Trump, they saw him as a threat to their easy way to make money. Both sides of the aisle in Washington are just to blame. I think there's just as many crooks on the Republican Party as there are the Democratic Party.
Well, the thing is, they go along to get along.
Right.
That's the way it is.
I'll vote for you, but you got to send me $79 million for a project in my district that I'm going to skim off the top of.
You remember when Cliff Stearns was our representative?
I do.
Well, 1 year just before he retired, I think it was his second to last term, he brought back to Ocala area $8 million. That same year, Nancy brought back $280 million to her district, and $50 million of that 280 wound up in a 4-block area, which coincidentally was owned by
Nancy Pelosi's
family.
Exactly. Her and her family. It's a racket, Sonny, and the only way that it's going to be solved is through term limits. The only way it's going to be solved.
I agree. I totally agree.
Thanks for the call, Sonny. Have a good holiday.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. There's just no other way around it. And, people are complaining about that you're going to have to start paying back your student loans. You borrowed the money, pay it back. People say we're not getting tax credit for our kids. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say if you have babies, we give you free money. Nowhere. Show it to me. Article 1, Article 2, where is it? Where's it at in the Bill of Rights? Oh, that's right, it's not, because it's not there. Take a break. We'll be right back after this timeout. 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA. The Source.
Hello, gorgeous.
Hi, this is Becky at Hello Gorgeous Salon. It's time to get that new look started. Let's get rid of those sun-damaged ends and faded out color and get into something rich and vibrant. Humidity is not your hair's friend. It causes your hair to capture moisture and leaves it looking dry and unhealthy. Hello Gorgeous is a certified Brazilian blowout salon. We can tame those locks, leaving your hair healthy and shiny with a Brazilian smoothing treatment. So let us help you make a great first impression. Call us today to set your appointment at Hello Gorgeous. Our number is 352-351-5358. Again, that's 352-351-5358. And don't forget, we also do men and children's cuts too. 351-5358. Hello Gorgeous is conveniently located in the heart of downtown Ocala. So call today and set up your appointment at Hello Gorgeous Salon at 351-5358. That's 351-5358.
Hello, gorgeous.